Okay, everyone. Welcome. Let me test some sound here. That's working. And let me try. I got a new little fancy tool here. Okay, that did that. That's not what I wanted. It did that one. Cool. Let me. All right. That's looking good. Hey, David, how's it going? If there's anything that you guys can't see or hear, actually, let me move myself over here. Let me know. Done some changes to the office. Everything's a little bit of a mess now. I apologize. Setting up new desk and all that kind of stuff after. All right, I'm going to mute myself here too there because I don't need to hear that anymore. That's looking good. Eighth, Fernando. Ugh. All right, so we've got some people in here already. I'll wait a few seconds to get everyone to catch up. But for anyone who's new, essentially what we do here each weekend is I kind of wrap up all of the videos that I've done for this week, the different shorts with the calls. You guys seem to be really liking those. The channel response is great. The channel is finally doing some growing after years and years of me kind of shouting into the abyss, which is great. Then we go over the market, what I think about the market last week, what I think about what the market may do next week, and some simple technical analysis type stuff. Then from there we go into trying to find the kind of pick or stocks that I'm looking at for Monday's trading. And then that's about it. We try to get it done in about an hour. It's 3:00 my time, so if I can wrap up for 4:30, that's fantastic. So that's going to be the game plan. So I hope everyone had a good weekend so far and a good week, and we're excited to see what the market opens, either up or down. Made some changes around the office. I don't know. I had two monitors stacked on top of each other like that, and I've noticed a lot of like neck pain and stuff. So now I've moved one over to the side, but the problem is that they're like super wide monitors. So it's like, I wish I could show you guys, but it's like I have monitors now from here to just all the way over there. So it's going to create some problems of its own, but that's fine. Ergonomics, things that I didn't care about until I hit the ripe old age of 35. Okay, that's all good. And perfect. Okay, everything looks good. Hey, Jenny, how's it going? So let's first start with the calls from this week, which were a bit of a mixed bag, kind of all said and done. What would the first one have been? Oh, W1, 2, 3, 4, 5. WVE, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I do remember WVE from this week, that's for sure. That was very, very exciting, and then absolutely not immediately after. So yeah, we'll first look at what we did last week, and then we'll go from there. Spend most of the time, I think, we'll spend most time on WVE here because I think that's kind of the most important lesson, I guess, for you guys from this period of time. Let me just if I do this, you guys can see that, right? Just waiting for the stream to catch up. Yeah, okay, perfect. So first question, again, ask questions as it goes. This is just kind of like a hangout time. part of my mentality now that I've grown some and there's some interest in what I'm doing is try to figure out a way to let you guys into the process. I'm never going to be a buy this, sell this, that type of thing. I don't think that helps. But both, paid for and non-paid for, I'm going to figure out ways to let you guys into the process that will benefit you in your trading journey, and then, benefit me because I like money. So again, thank you for the question. First question is this volume on the side. So I really like this, and it's one of the reasons that I use TrendSpider linked to Trade Ideas, is that the volume that you're seeing here is what they call volume by price. And essentially, you're used to seeing volume bars come up here, and each volume bar corresponds with each day. This is the same type of thing, but what it's saying is that where has the volume occurred based off price? So, for example, this stock we're looking at right here, you could call this $9 even, is where most of the volume's done. But then if you sum up, call it 940 to or 950 to 850, that dollar range, most of the volume for this stock has been done there. The reason I like it is it shows you where the market participants is quite a bit. If I'm looking to buy something, but I see that there's a whole bunch of volume right above me, that means that there's a lot of people who bought and sold the stock at that price. So there's these, this ceiling that could occur, and the same as if I'm trying to buy support. So again, WVE was the first call here, and the theory behind WVE was it was actually on this candle that I talked about it. So I was looking for a break over this level. Theory being we had this downtrend that was happening here. We had a bunch of support in this area as well, and I thought if we broke out like we did here, that it may be some good continuation. Now, what happened was we broke out, we had a good day, and then we gapped down the next day and have been kind of selling ever since. So this is why I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about this one, because depending on how you traded it, it could have been very good or it could have been very bad. So what I did personally was I bought on a break of this candle's high. So I was in at about $10 a share. The thing rocketed to like $11 a share in the same day. And I think in the pre-market, it went even higher. Yeah, it went to, about $11. So when it rejected from $11 and started to sell back down, I got out half-ish of the position at, call it 1075, around there. And then was stopped out at the other half right at the basically open of the next day. So at least I missed a lot of this. So it just shows that risk management is very important. If you buy a stock and they give you 10% return on that stock in a single day, you should look to take some or at least protect your entry, which obviously you wouldn't be able to do here because that gapped. But just to show you that's how I traded it. Now, it also shows you the value of the stop out because you had an opportunity to get stopped out right at these lows, which is kind of a logical place for the stop. People who, continued to hold and hope, they're having a hard time right now. So that was WVE. Net, it was a loser, right? Because I got half the position out here and then half the position for a loss as well. So it would have been good if we didn't get that gap, but it is what it is. Really, I'm going to go through the rest of them, but not too much else happened. So the next one was HTPX. I wanted it kind of over this area, this downtrending line here. Never really happened and just fell down. So that's fine. No trade there, but kind of boring. And again, I'll look at it. And for the person who had the question about the volume shelf, it's kind of what I'm looking for here as well. You can see all of this volume that has happened in this area. If we clear that volume, I think there's, it kind of removes that overhead resistance that can occur. So I'm going to keep this one on watch, but I'm not interested in it until it gets kind of above, 950 again. The other one was FLGT, which I was looking at it here over this area. Never really got there. No trade. Still be interested if it gets over that area, but nothing happened there as well. ICAD, ICAD got me. ICAD, I was looking to get in over this area. I actually did get in, and then it stopped out on that same day. So that's fine. You know, no fun, but it's fine. And then the last one was CRDF. CRDF. Oncology play. Looking for it over this area. I was actually looking for it, I believe, over this spinning top there. Nothing really occurred, but this one is actually still on watch just because the support being held here, if we zoom back, you can see that this area, let's do that again, do it better. This area here has been important for the stock, right? We've bounced off that area here and then here and here again, and then so maybe here again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a hold and a break over this volume area, which kind of puts us in this area right here. So that one's still on watch as well. So overall, not the best week when it came to these particular picks, and not really a good week for trading. And that's what I'll ask you guys how your trading has been going. I've found it very choppy. So I've actually been doing a lot of intraday trading and a little less swinging. Now I have been in GameStop. I've been playing around in GameStop because it's just the most volatile type of a market that I see out there. And by playing around, I've actually, and I said this to you guys before, but I was and still am long some from around 43. I sold a bit here, and then I sold a bit more here. And then when we pulled back to this area right in here, I actually reloaded some. And then I sold a bit of that on Friday's open. So it's an interesting stock to play. I don't think I'm going to be one of those that, you know, is going to call that it's going to go to $1 billion or anything like that. But it's acting very technically well because of the fact that it obviously has nothing to do with fundamentals at this point. There's obviously nothing fundamentally related when it comes to, you know, looking at a stock like this anymore. You know, the stock was $4 a little bit ago. It's 181 now. It's all a pure kind of technical move at this point. So that's kind of been mostly what I've been playing, and I've been focusing a lot on, basically intraday type of moves and things like that. So then a question too, if there's anyone here who's on the email list over at my website, did you get that email? I've had people email me and I've emailed them back, and I don't know what's going through and what's not. I'm new to managing websites and that type of stuff. Yeah, okay, that went through. Perfect. I just had a gentleman that emailed me after he had already reached out to me through that support form, and it looks like he didn't get my response. So that's kind of cool. So I'll continue to do that. Again, if you guys are interested, let me bring up my website here. I did receive your email from Trade Ideas affiliate. No, it should have been just from my personal email. So that's all I have for now. It should just be from michael.noss@gmail.com. It's all my fault. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. I'm learning as it goes. Just getting something for you. Documents, stats. So I have a website here. Really nothing on it yet. I'm still working on that product that I'm going to come out with for you guys soon. It's going to be in the $50 area. It's going to have what I hope is perceived many, many times that in value. I'm going to cap it at 100 people to start with. But again, for now, there's really nothing here. You can go and check out the free trading course I did with my wife. This will always be free. 36 lessons, video lessons here. And then you can email me for mentoring here, but I also have this email list down below, and you can sign up for that. And I don't spam your email, and I won't sell your email to anyone. I basically just use it to say, hey, I'm going live, or I have a new blog post or something like that. Here's my affiliate links for Trade Ideas and TrendSpider. If you want to check these out, certainly do that. And then also blog here. I did a new blog post here, and it links to a video that I've done. It was talking about my favorite top 5 trading books. I'm going to do another one next week about psychology books, and then another week after that about when it comes to, books about fundamental stuff. But that's enough plugging for now. So let's take a look at the market. Let's start at looking at weekly charts. Let's do some technical analysis as a chartered market technician. I now have authority to speak of this kind of stuff. There's really nothing to say here other than it's an incredibly strong bull run, and has been an incredibly strong bull run for ages. I've been hearing about the end of the world for a very long time. Right. I've been hearing about, again, I'm Canadian, so I'm apolitical, but when this new president thinks he's going to get in, but the old president's actually the one that got in, that's going to tank us. And then, oh no, now that this new president's in, that's going to tank us. And now that we reopen, that's going to tank us. And just fundamental story after fundamental story about why the market's going to tank. And this is why I only follow price, and I kind of shut the rest of that out as noise entirely, because it's just strong. Now, one thing I will say is these slow grinds up are some of the hardest to trade. So be very careful about that. It's a lot easier to trade during, more dramatic moves up, and you can see the slope of our up move has decreased a little bit. So that means things are going to be a little bit choppier intra-week and be a little bit harder to trade. But there's really nothing here to say, we have to worry about this in any way. Let's go to Koyfin and see what's going on. Here's another great resource, not affiliated with these guys the way I am with Trade Ideas and TrendSpider. However, there's some really cool information on this Koyfin. The one that I use the most is this sector list, which will actually tell me if I go back, say, the last 5 days or last week, it will show me each of the sector move. So let's make this a little bigger. Just pop that full screen. And this shows which sectors are really performing and which sectors are struggling, right? So we can see that on the top here, we have XLP, which is consumer staples, is doing very, very well. We have XLK, which is technology, has been rebounding, but not quite a lot, really. XLE has actually still been doing well, so our energy. So basically our rotation into value seems to continue, although we had a bump in tech this week, which we'll find if we go to the weekly chart here in XLK. You can see, so this is the tech sector. You can see when we look at the SPY, let's just go back to that, how the SPY is at highs. And then we go to XLK and it's lagging behind. It's not quite at highs. So that means, your high flyers, your Teslas, your Apples, your Googles, your insane stocks aren't doing nearly as well as they were in the past little bit. So just be a little bit cautious when you're looking at those. Also, I'm still interested in energy, which is XLE right here. And XLE is interesting just because of the strength over the last little bit. Now, we pointed out this evening star setup on the weekly, which is a big up candle, a doji, a big down candle. With this evening star type of a play, it makes me think that there could be some bearish continuation, which we had, and then we kind of bounced from there. So now that we're holding this prior resistance that now is potentially support, I think there's some weight that may carry this thing higher. So we kind of said last week we were neutral to bearish, and we got about of a neutral output, right? If you see, this was the close last week for the financials. This was, or sorry, yeah, and this was the close this week for the financials. Didn't really move much intra-week, and same with most of these, right? Little tiny moves each week. However, when I went through my weekly charts this week, and you can see I'm going through them now as well, everything is looking much, much stronger. Things closed on week's highs. Things are much near breakout territory. So this week in particular, I'm way more bullish than I was last. Bitcoin, we can talk about that if anyone else is a crypto person around here. I do a lot of trading of Bitcoin myself. I just like it as a market. And then if we go into the daily, let's take a look at the major ones that we're looking at right now, which is the SPY. You can see a lot of this action was done right on Friday. Just an insanely bullish move, right? We were kind of chopping down, and then push. And then again, if we look at this volume shelf that we were talking about earlier, you can see there was a spike of volume kind of in this area here. We've now cleared that, so there's no real resistance overhead. All-time highs will obviously be interesting, but when it comes to volume, there's really nothing there. And if we take a look at XLK, you can see the same thing. Even though it's much further down, there's not a lot in the way of volume resistance here. And then we take a look at XLE. I should just do these in alphabetical, shouldn't I? That makes my life way easier. XLE, you can see gap up and go on Friday. And again, other than all-time highs here, I don't see too much in our way. So all in all, just sit back and chat about the market for a bit. Have you guys noticed the choppiness in your trading yourself, or is that just what I look at? Because everything looks good. Everything looks strong. I'm bullish going into next week. I don't see a real reason not to be. But that being said, I have noticed in my own trading that things are a little bit choppier, and we can talk about how to deal with choppiness if you guys need that. I always think it's important to note that the market chops way more. Ken saying he's seeing a lot of failed breakouts. Markets chop way more than they trend. That's just a statistical. It's a statistical fact, right? That most of the time the market is choppy, and then periods of time the market trends. I think I've heard as much as 70% range bound and 30% trend. 80-20 seems to make sense as well. In choppy environments, which I think this week we may be getting out of, but potential we're still in for sure. It's important just to make sure you widen your stop. So, what was it? FLGT, right? So if I look back at FLGT, no, it wasn't FLGT. What was it that I got into and stopped out the same day? Was that CRDF? I needed more coffee before I got on here. No, it wasn't CRDF. ICAD. Must have been ICAD. Yeah, it was ICAD. So in this scenario, right, when the markets are choppy like this, I got triggered in here and then I got stopped out right away. In this type of scenario, what I generally like to look for when things get really choppy is I lower my share size and I wait for candle close for entry and candle close for exit. So as opposed to saying I'm going to buy this thing when it pops up, that when things pop up, I wait for the candle to close to signify a confirmation to get in. And then when it's time to stop out, I wait for a candle close confirmation to get out. And what this will do, it may mean that you miss some great trades, but it will help. So if you find yourself getting chopped out of breakouts and getting slapped, right, wait for your candle close to get in. Wait for your candle close to stop you out. And what that does, it just removes the wicks. It basically means that you're basically dealing with line charts as opposed to candlestick charts at that point. How am I trading BC? Do you mean BTC? Must mean BTC. I trade it through Kraken. I just like that I can both buy and short sell within Kraken because I trade both sides. I'm actually in a short now. I have been in a short for a long time. In which, I can just highlight it here. So I'm basically short right here on the break of this candle, this little inside day. And my stops over here, I took out a little bit in this area, but I'm still in most of the position, actually looking to re-short. Basically, I just think the risk is to the downside instead of the up on Bitcoin right now. And I just like the fact that within Kraken, I can short and I can trade on margin. So I don't need to keep an insane amount of cash or crypto inside of their exchange account. I can just put in, I was going to say numbers, but whatever, 10 grand or whatever you need. And then, go from there, right? And just say, here, I can give you guys, right, 10 grand, and I can leverage that 5 times, and then I can trade crypto, and I don't need to worry about. The beauty of crypto is that there's no time to close the market. There's no, right, you can just trade it. I can put out my trade, I can put out my stop loss, I can put out profit targets if I wanted to, and I can walk away. And I don't need to worry about, I need to be out by X time because the market will close and then there may be gap risk. It's just 24/7, which I think we're probably on our way to in the equity markets at some point. Do I look anything long or short related to the boat jam? No. My philosophy on trading is that as soon as you know the news and you have thought of how the news impacts everything, you're late. Because there's people who, there's AI bots now that read the news, interpret them, and make trades based off them. So I am purely a technical trader. I use trade ideas to scan for setups that I like, and then I don't do much else. Speaking of, so we've gone over last week's trading. Wasn't the best, to be blunt, but that's trading. If you find any trader that says that they're on fire and profitable all the time, they're lying to you and run. We went through the markets. I'm overall bullish going into next week. I think that everything looks good. Again, I understand, and this is super important. This is why I talk about in my book review that to read Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone, one of his big things was anything can happen, and that is certainly true when it comes to the market. So absolutely anything can happen at any time, so just be prepared for it. And then, so bullish on the market, got last week wrapped up. So now last on the agenda is we're going to go through the scanning for this week. This is when I like to take a lot of questions, which I see some come through here, because I'm just going to scan and I'm not going to comment on every single stock that comes through. I don't think that would be entertaining to you guys. So while we do this, let's chat, right? Do you got any ideas for, I can talk about the product that I'm planning on building for Stats Edge if you guys want to see that. I've thought of something else. Basically, if I'm going to ask for $50 a month, there's 2 goals, right? One is that I want to make sure that it's you looking into my process so that I'm not doing an insane amount of extra work. It's just kind of allowing you guys to join me, look over my shoulders. And B, I want to make sure that it feels like you're getting, that you're robbing me, right? That because I can sell it on scale, right? So I want to make sure that you guys feel that it's a hell of a deal at the same time. So Bitcoin, we talked about that. Again, when it comes to the analysis, long term, we're obviously in an uptrend here. There's nothing saying we're not. I think we may be building an inverse head and shoulders. I am short, and I'm just waiting to see if we get to this 43 area and then what happens from there. Again, I just think that the risk after a move from 4,000 to 60 is to the downside. And then also, I guess, full disclosures, I have interests where I consult with different cryptocurrency trading companies and business deals, and I own some business related to crypto when it comes to market making and different things like that. So I normally try to trade Bitcoin from the short side as almost a hedge on my life, if that makes sense. If Bitcoin does well, I will profit in other areas of my life with these other business interests I have. So I want to be profiting every time Bitcoin tanks, so that right, it's a hedge on my life. So we'll go through here while I answer questions. RGS actually let me go through. First step is because I use, if you guys are new to trade ideas, I love the My Liked feature. So I need to first go through, and I want to actually bring up another chart. We're going to put chart window here, and I make this a weekly chart. So I get a little bit, when it comes to thumbnail charts, like little tiny thumbnail charts like this, Trade Ideas kills it. When it comes to the deep technical analysis, I think TrendSpider has us beat there. Not that one. I want to do... bring in, where was that? My Liked. So what I do is I go through first and I'll clear out, these are the things on my liked list that have anything you see here with a heart is basically something I'm watching. So STNT, I'm still watching because of this area here. I think if we can break and clear that, we can keep going. CRDF, I want to leave on there. So basically, I'm just looking to take off anything from the list that I'm not interested in. This DYAI, I'm basically just watching for a bounce play, kind of an intraday play, but that doesn't look very good. OCGN, not interested in that anymore. RMNI, still could break out. Sienna, Sorrenta, nah. And HTBX looks ugly now too, so we'll take those out. Okay, so now we'll go through and we'll scan and we'll chat as we do, because RGS it looks interesting to me. We have this downward sloping channel, so we've been kind of chopping down in this channel after this big strong up move. Could be a continuation higher. We got a 16% short float, and we don't have earnings until May, so I'm going to add this one to the list. What's my thought on stop losses being sold by the brokers? I think that's tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff. Now, your order flow is being sold. 110% your order flow is being sold. They're not hiding it, right? They tell you they're selling your order flow, right? So it is what it is, right? Your order flow is being sold. So that's happening. The question is always, who cares, right? So how do I word this? So again, your order flow is being sold. So if you're trying to scalp things for, 2 cents up, 2 cents down, 2 cents up, whether it's through a automated system like a robot or you're doing it yourself or whatever, and you're using a retail broker, your order flow is being sold, and you're not going to make a lot of money doing it. Sorry, right? But that's something I learned a long time ago, in which that's one of the reasons that I swing trade now, or my day trades are longer term in nature now. It's one of the reasons we actually built Holly for Trade Ideas, is because we know your order flow is being sold. That scalping for a couple cents here and there just doesn't work nearly as well. Some people can obviously do it, but doesn't work nearly as well in this day and age as it used to. Now, I know what you mean by stop hunting. You're basically saying, well, if I put my stop right here, is a market maker going to push the stock to my stop and stop me out? Yeah, I believe they can 100% see where your stops are. It's probably in the order flow that's being sold to them. However, do they care? And the way you got to look at that is to say, okay, so for one person to push this stock that does 256,000 shares, let's say that's an average daily volume. Let's bring over the calculator. So it's a $12 stock, and it does 250,000 shares in volume. So so 3 million or so dollars it would take to push the stop to push the stock to your stop. Now, if you're unless you're some oil baron, I don't know about, in which case I should turn on like donations on the stream or something. They don't care about your $20,000 position that you have in this stock, and they're not going to push the stop to stop you out at that stock. Now, if, for example, they think there's tons of people at that area, if you're putting your stop at a place where it's very obvious that a lot of people will have the stop, then they'll push it there, right? So if you're putting your stop where a lot of people are putting their stop and it's obvious that your stop's there, they're going to push it to your stop if that serves them. But if you're just saying, oh, are they hunting my stop in particular? No, I don't care that much, right? Where these HFT firms and these order flow buying firms get you is by knowing that your orders, that 10,000 people are looking to buy GameStop right now. So they're going to buy GameStop early and they're going to flip it out and they're going to sell it to you a cent or two higher. That's how they make their money. And that's why I say super hyper scalping just doesn't work like it used to. I used to do it, right? That's actually how I started trading, and that's how I paid for university. And that was what I did, is I did that kind of trading where I would buy 10,000 shares of a stock at $10 and be selling it 10.02, 10.03, 10.04, 10.05, 10.06. It's how I used to do it. Now it's less lucrative because the selling of order flow, right? And it just is, it is what it is. But no, I wouldn't worry about them hunting you in particular for any reason. Do I use trailing stops? No, not the standard trailing stop of, I'm going to put a 5-cent trailing stop out there. I don't do it. I don't like them because they're just really barbaric and simple. A 10 cents trailing stop will work on some stocks and won't work on others. A 5-cent trailing or 5% trailing stop will work on some stocks, not from others. Now, I do trailing stops in the way that, say I'm in something that doesn't look like absolute crap. If I have to scan this far and I haven't seen anything, that's usually a bit of a worrisome. That actually doesn't look bad. Let's say I buy this guy, which looks a little interesting here. We've got this downtrending channel. I'm going to add this to the list before I forget. But say I buy this one tomorrow right here, and it does this for a few days, and then it pushes higher, and then it does this for a few days, and then pushes higher. I will trail the stop myself, in which I will grab the stop loss order on the charts, because you can just drag and drop them on the charts. And then I'll move it up here, and I'll move it up here, and I'll move it up here. Also, you could do something in which your, let's just put in EMA. I commonly use the 8 EMA, and I'll look for a closing candle. So say I was involved in this stock here when it broke out of this area. I may say, okay, on the first close below the 8 EMA, I'll get out and I'll wait right. You would have gotten out right there on that closing candle. That to me makes sense because you're letting price action dictate as opposed to letting just a random price that you think will work dictate. So that's how I suggest using trailing stops. That's how I use them myself. I said I would cap the number at 100. Is there a way to express interest, save a spot? There has to be. Just email me, Todd. What I'll do is I never thought about that. I honestly, I I would be shocked if I open it up and 100 spots go like that. I'm not that popular. It'd be great, right? If that did happen, because what I want to do is I want to start the product at what I think is going to be a steal of a deal, and what I hope you guys think is a steal of a deal, and then cap it, and then run that for 6 months or so as an experiment to see how everything works, and if there's any complaints, and if there's people that think that it's a too good of a value or not good enough of a value. People that get in will always be locked in whatever price they get into as long as they stay. That's something that I've picked up from Trade Ideas, that Trade Ideas does, that I really like. Before I started consulting with them and I got free accounts, I was paying like $32 a month for their like maxed out premium package because I'd been there for 10 years. I'll do the same thing. I think that's a really good way to do that. But yeah, if you fire me an email, what I'll do is I'll just make an Excel spreadsheet and I'll just dump your email in a separate spreadsheet, and I'll email that list first and just give those people like a couple day head start. It's a good idea. Thanks. I just wouldn't have thought about that. This one's really interesting. I'd need to look into it more as a SPAC. It's opened at 13, grind down the whole way. I'm usually not a bottom picker, but this one looks like an interesting bottom to pick just because, you could buy it at $10. You could put your stop a little bit below here. So you'd be wrong at $9.80. So you're risking like 20 cents. If the thing goes $1, that's 5 times your risk. What's that up here? I don't think that's too bad. So, Fill the Gap podcast still has Bonpar. Yeah, I got to change. I don't know how to, like, if I change my Twitter and if I change, like, my YouTube is still youtube.com/Bonpar, but I want to move everything to Stats Edge Trading, but I'm worried I'm going to lose a bunch of followers. I don't understand how this stuff works. CCX is another beaten down SPAC. Oh yeah, that's another interesting one. I'm going to add these on. I've never really played with these SPACs very much, but that's a interesting support area here. Another thing too, just to talk about how we talked about earlier, how to deal with chop. If you find you're getting stopped out on all the breakouts, it may be time to look for a little bit support and resistance played. We'll go from there. That's a good one. I like that one. Any opinion on Archegos margin call rec possibly over this week? No, I haven't heard of that. Do you have a website or something? I can take a look. Is that a Bitcoin margin call? Again, the reason I love trading crypto is the 24-hour nature of the market. The fact that I can just place my trade, put out my stop, leave it, and I'm either going to get stopped out or at some point I'm going to, take a profit target. And I don't need to worry about markets closing. And it's one of those that people are like, oh, if the markets are open all the time, I'll be trading all the time. For me, it's less stress trading a 24-hour market than trading a longer term. Yeah, so this is like a breakout candidate list that we went through and we found like 3 symbols, which is interesting. So I may look to see if I can find a support and resistance type scan and go from there. GPRE is interesting. So add that in here. It's resistance right up here. We've got some declining lows, very strong stock. So we've been chopping here for a bit, making higher lows as we go. Be interesting to see if we go from there. If we look at the volume shelf, we can see that, right, all the volumes being done below us. 25% short float. Yeah, this one might be the ticket for sure. You click the heart at the top left of the chart. How do you access that list? Yeah, so it's called My Liked List. I see that Brett got you there, but basically you can create any kind of scan you want. So if I wanted to create a alert window that looked for new highs, Then I can just, under the symbol list tabs here in trade ideas, I can just point it to my liked. And now this list, oh, I should put, whatever. You can see it's only going to pull from things from that list. And that's how I trade, where I build these lists every night. And then I build little algorithms in which I point the robot to it and say, hey, trade these symbols if XYZ occurs. So when I'm done here for the day, unless I want to go do some day trading that day, I am done looking at these swing trades till Monday evening, when I see what do I have in my blotter, what do I want to pare down, what do I want to add to, what do I want to stop out of, things like this. But when it comes to entry, I don't do much of that anymore. I'm playing around a lot day trading now because I've been playing with a new strategy. I may turn on the stream at some point this week and try to trade the strategy live with you guys and see. Just like that pre-market breakdown bounce strategy I did with a while ago, I'm still trading that in an automated format, and it's working great. Oh, Brett's the one that, or sorry, David's the one that answered that. I gave Brett the credit. That's fine. They have target. Oh, CCX. Interesting. I'll take a look into that CCX one. MTDR is very interesting. It's a resource company. Very typical bull flag going on here. Like as typical as they come, 15% short float. Yeah, I'm going to add that one in there for sure. With a, yeah, Walt. So basically what I do is I can tell, let me get you a video that I did on it, but I can tell the system to watch my symbol lists and to take trades if and when certain things occur. And then it calculates my risk. It puts out a stop loss. It puts out a, I don't do profit targets. I trail stops, but I will put out a profit target myself of maybe half of the position if we get a move. Yeah, here it is here. Bam. So you can check out that video, which is all about how I do this. And that's the way that I trade. I even do it with things like gappers and things like that. If I'm looking at a gapper list, I can go through and I can say, I'm. Oh, that's an interesting one as well. I'm going to add that one. Yeah, I can run this list and I can say, these are the gaps that I'm interested in fading. Throw them in there. The robot will watch them for a breakdown to fade them. Here's the gaps I think will continue. I want to buy them and have them break out. Most of the trading I do nowadays through symbol list trading, through adding and removing things from symbol list and having the robot watch them. It's just, it works the best for me because I don't have to watch 100 symbols as one and try to pick one or two to trade. And B, I really like that it removes the emotion from the trading side of thing. It pulls the emotion out of trading, where there's a detachment when the symbol just enters my blotter and I have to deal with it. I'm less attached to it. It's almost like I can blame the robot if it's a bad play, and then it just allows me to be a little bit more attached to it. And again, that's what I do here. That's my goal. I see you have Aitable 2.0. I can share this with you if you guys want, but really I took Steve's. So you're right, this is just ripped off from Steve and Andy. However, I put just these Bollinger Band filters on. So basically what the Aitable, it's just looking for incredibly strong stocks based off this stock ranking system we have that we call SCORE. It just ranks stocks by technical, fundamental, statistical, quantitative, social, again, at some point. But what I found with theirs is that it was finding too many stocks that just shot right up. So I just said, hey, still be inside the Bollinger Bands for the daily and still be inside the Bollinger Bands for the 15 minutes. And that's the only difference. It's just making sure that whatever I'm looking at hasn't already exploded, just to save me a bit of time. That Funko, I'm going to add, but it's not going to be a long-term swing trade. I'm going to take a look at that. As a day trade, if we were to break out of this area, you may get a little bit of a run at highs here, but the thing's nuts. Don't they just make like little action figures? Just a hell of a stock for a action figure company. Genius Brand's been taken off. Yeah, so Brett has a list that excludes. Oh, it has all the Wall Street bet symbols. Yeah, it's the place to go right now. Oh, David, that's why. It's David saying that the reason that Funko was taken off is NFT stuff. I don't know. NFT seems stupid as hell to me. I've made a bunch of money trading these. What is it? The TCAT. I traded some TCAT this week. I traded some W Key this week and did well in that one. So I'll trade them. I like bubbles. You know, the bubbles are fun unless you're getting into the bubble, you're FOMOing into the bubble late, or you don't have an exit plan with the bubble. So bubbles are fun if you know what you're doing. Just be careful. But I think NFTs just seem stupid. Like the whole point of digital things is that they're replicable forever. I just don't. Maybe I'm old. Maybe it makes sense to everyone else but me. But to me, it's just dumb. But again, I trade price action. So if it's a good, strong trend and it looks like that trend's going to break out and do a new leg, I'm going to buy it. And that's all it is. It's funny how making your life simpler when it comes to trading generally makes you way more money. Box is interesting here. You can see I already own some, so I can't really recommend. I don't like recommending on those short videos something that I'm already in. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think it's honest. But I'm in some box here, and it looks good. I like when I see that, when I come across a symbol and I go, oh, that looks good. And then I go, shit, I already own some. Encouraging anyway. So really, there's not a whole lot that I'm seeing for my trading style, which is more of I want a movement and then I want consolidation, right? And then I want a movement. I'm never really the guy to pick that initial move. I'm always the guy to play that second leg. And I'm not really seeing a lot when it comes to that second leg. I got to check the hours of IKEA just while we're here before I forget. Closes. Okay, so I am going to have to leave pretty much on time. We're redoing the office. The wife has gotten her own little business venture going on. I say little, but it could kick the ass of all my business ventures if she keeps going, which would be great. So I'm going to have to share my office going forward. Yeah, Brett, don't laugh. If I walk out of this room later than I told her I would, she may be standing out there with a knife. DLPN, I'm going to add this to the list just so you guys know why I'm adding it to the list. This is a day trading stock that I'm going to be interested in. Something that I'm playing a lot more of is trying to get when you have this initial push and then that push starts to fail and you see these lower highs, I try to look to see if there's a kind of a tight consolidation day, and then a break of that I found actually works pretty well for day trade. Wonder why the office was so clean. Yeah, we're gonna be. This couch is gonna go. I've had this couch for, I shit you not, 20 years. It's followed me everywhere, from playing World of Warcraft for far too long in my basement with buds, to follow me to university and different apartments and all this. But we're going to clear this whole thing out, and along this wall, where do you got this wall here, which is by the window, just have two little desks set up, one for me, one for her. And then there'll be a chair behind me, because I haven't sat on that couch in year. I haven't sat on that couch since we moved here. That's the dog's couch now. The two dogs love it, so we need to get something for them to replace that. Interesting broadening formation going on this AVXL. You can see it's getting tighter and then it's getting wider, but it's holding this support area. So this one I'm this is the one that's been kind of the most interesting to me so far. It'll be interesting. Any ideas on UPST? Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. So I would have been interested in UPST above this candle right here. And it's a good eye, Jenny. It is the same thing that I'm looking for, where I want that initial crazy pop, which I never get involved in this. That's more of a crazy person's game. But you can see we had lower high, lower high, lower high, and the candles are getting tighter and tighter as it's happening. Then, you look for a break of this candle's high, and quite often you kind of get these nice little rocket moves. So that is exactly what I'm looking at. I just would have wanted it, back a day. I would have wanted it here, and then try to take it over this day high. So that's what I'm looking for in DLPN, in which I'm looking to see, say we get another candle that's kind of like this, and then we get a break of that the prior day. I'll take a look at it again as a day trade. I never try to bet that they're going to go up here. Sometimes they make a second leg, but I find that that's rare. Sell full price has history. If only, maybe someday I'll be famous enough on the internet, I'll put up on eBay and get a premium for it. Thoughts on a swing short of TUR? I like how you worded that question. You talked about your time frame. Like, this is the way, guys. If you're ever asking for an analyst, not to call you out if you didn't want to be called out, but this is how you ask another trader a question on a stock, right? He talked about the symbol, he talked about his time frame, he talked about how long he was interested in it, and he talked about his direction, right? So thoughts on a swing short. So he's interesting short on the symbol for the week. So he's looking for about a week trade, because a lot of people will come in, they'll say, hey, what do you think of Apple? I'm like, what, for a day trade, for a swing trade, for a long-term investment? Like, I've probably spent 20 grand on Apple shit in this room, so a long-term investment is probably going to go up if they keep selling stuff like this. But I like this. Obviously it's the Turkey ETF, so you're going to have overnight risk that may be a little bit bigger than some places, so be careful there. But obviously got hammered. Is this related to the boat thing? I'd imagine. I guess their economy would have a lot to do with that. If you break Friday's low, it's a broken chart, right? It's and you're back under here, right? So you're back under this area of resistance here, and then a gap down here. You can see when it tried to rally, it failed that horribly, and then sold back down. You got a nice volume shelf here, rising rates. Oh no inflation. decision by their Fed, rising rates. Again, from a technical point of view, right, I like the fact, I think it's very bearish, the fact that you broke under this area of resistance. And then when you came back up to test it, you got rejected from it. So at least you know where you're wrong. My favorite trades are ones that, right, you draw a line right here and you know 100% you're wrong if this happens. Again, just note, right, you notice that the gaps in the chart are a lot more prevalent. That's a lot when it comes to overnight risk, the fact that most of their trading is going to be done overnight. So that's my scanning done. So last but not least, before we take off here, before I get murdered, I'm just going to talk about what I think of. Oh, no problem. Again, I like the chart. I just, I'm not saying don't take it because of the overnight risk. I'm just saying trade accordingly because of the overnight risk. Maybe a little bit lighter than normal, but overnight risk is sadly a part of trading. Yeah, so these NEBC and was it CCX? Did I actually add CCX? No, I'll add that to the list too. I'm going to research those a bit. But it was this one, AVXL, that I'm the most interested in. So this is the one that's going to hit, just so you guys, you can, if you watch the video I put out later tonight, great, thank you. That will be great. But if not, just know it's going to be AVXL. The theory is going to be this broadening formation after this strong push up. And basically, it's going to just be try to play it as a break of this trend line with the volume node here, have a push up kind of in this area, and then your stop loss. If you're wrong under this, you're definitely wrong under this green engulfing candle. I'm usually tighter than that, so I'd probably go halfway up that green engulfing candle. Murdered. All right, guys. So that was great. I'm going to take off here. Now, again, just to quickly plug Stats Edge and then scroll to the bottom, dump your email in here. I'll let you know. I may, if I have time this week, do another live stream for that during the day, during the morning, when I'm going to try to trade this new strategy that I've come up with. That's basically, it compares 1 and 2 day VWAP, and it uses those support and resistance. I've traded it in paper. I'm going to move it to live money soon. We didn't have too much time to go over this, so I'll just read out quickly what I'm thinking, and then you guys can mill about. You can always email me. So I'm thinking a Discord group that's just for paid members, where you guys can shoot the shit all the time, 24/7. I'll be in there periodically. My scans, a list of the scans that I'm going to be using at the time, which I will update all the time. You just get them. Monthly webinars to members, member-only monthly webinars where we sit down for about 2 hours and I just answer any question anyone can have. We chat about the market, whatever. Access to my private trading journal where I put in my trades of the day. I put in what I'm thinking for tomorrow, a little bit of a technical analysis as well, and a private Twitter account where what I'll do is I'll post ideas I have there first. And then maybe a month or so, or not a month or so, maybe a couple hours later, it goes out on the Twitter account that you guys are probably following. So that's what I've come up with so far for $50 a month is what I'm thinking. Have to figure out how to do this, like technically how to do it. But that's what I'm thinking so far. Trying to think of maybe another 1 or 2 kind of perks to put on there, but I think there's some value there for sure. But as always, my email is under all of my stuff, and you can always email me if you go and you click book a coaching session. Even if you don't want to book a coaching session, you just want to email me, just you can fill this out, or my email address is right here, right on the contact us page. You can reach out to me from there. Let me know what you think, right? Is that a good deal? Is it a bad deal? Let me know. And anyway, I'm going to take off there. And it was nice chatting with you all. And I will talk to you sometime throughout this week. So again, if I choose to stream, I will email and I will tweet before I go. So follow me there and you'll know those for sure. Trade safe, guys.